Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Can't wait till I'm able to see some faces again. It's starting to get kind of weird. I know a couple weeks ago, Jim had talked about normal being weird and weird being normal. This week, we're going to talk about another place where Jesus appeared. Um, this was on the road to Emmaus with a gentleman named Cleopas, and we'll get to him here in a second. We're going to go through the scripture and dig into it. This comes from the message in the book of Luke, chapter 24, verses 13 through 35. So hear the word. The same day, two of them were walking to the village Emmaus, about 7 miles out of Jerusalem. They were deep in conversation, going over all these things that had happened. In the middle of their talk and questions, Jesus came up and walked along with them, but they were not able to recognize who he was. He asked, "What is this you're discussing so intently as you walk along?" They just stood there long faced like they had lost their best friend. And one of them, his name was Cleopas, he said, "Are you the only one in Jerusalem who hasn't heard what's happened in the last few days?" Jesus said, "What's happened?" They said, "The things that happened to Jesus, the Nazarene. He was a man of God, a prophet, dynamic in work and word, blessed by both God and all the people. Then our high priest and leaders betrayed him, got him sentenced to death, and then they crucified him. And we had our hopes up that he was the one about to deliver Israel. And now it's the third day since it happened. But now some of our women have completely confused us. Early this morning, they were at the tomb and they couldn't find his body. They came back with the story that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Some of our friends went off to the tomb and found it empty, just as the women had said. But they didn't see Jesus. Then Jesus said to them, "So thick headed, so slow hearted, why can't you simply believe all that the prophet said? Don't you see that these things had to happen, that the Messiah had to suffer, and only then enter into his glory?" Then he started at the beginning with the books of Moses and went on through all the prophets, pointing out everything in the scriptures that referred to him. They came to the edge of the village where they were headed, and he, Jesus, acted as if he was going on, but they pressed him, "Hey, please stay and have supper with us. It's nearly evening, the day is done." So Jesus went in with them, and here's what happened. He sat down at the table. He took the bread, he blessed and broke and gave it to them. At that moment, open eyed, wide eyed, they recognized him. And then he disappeared. Back and forth, Cleopas and his friend talked. Didn't we feel on fire as he conversed with us on the road? As he opened up the scriptures for us, they didn't waste a minute. They were up and on their way back to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and their friends gathered together, talking away. It's really happened. The Master has been raised up. Simon saw him. Then the two went over everything that happened on the road to Emmaus and how they recognized him when he broke the bread. So I think at this point, without trying to explain too much of what happened here, we need to change the scenery. I'll get us started. Woo! Not that kind of scenery, y'all. Much better. These are my walking clothes. So let's go for a walk. Follow me. All right, we're here. Let's go. Before we get started, I want to give you my recommendations if you didn't see them in the church email. If you can, and if you are able, and if the weather's cooperative, go outside. See, outside is where all this took place, so we want to put ourselves in that element so we can feel what Cleopas felt. And if you can, let's go for a walk. Walking's good. Walking's what they were doing. So let's take a walk. So now that we're here, try and envision a time when you were out and about somewhere. Close your eyes if you have to. You, and if anyone was with you, are out and about and someone shows up and starts a conversation. You smile, pleasantries are exchanged, the conversation gets going, and you get to feel that rush of human connection, the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin, all those chemicals in your brain are giving you this rush of how good it feels to be around someone that you know. And the conversation comes to an end. Okay. There we go. Now that the conversation's over, you start thinking to yourself, who was that? I know him. Who was that? Who was that person I was just talking to? So, with awesome conversation. As a local musician who's played with multiple decently known bands, that's happened to me several times. Someone will come up, oh man, you used to play with the Buchanan Boys, or oh man, you play with Arnold Hill. You guys are awesome. Oh man, I've seen you do a solo set. Oh, I used to go to the Summit Church years back. That has happened to me on several occasions, and it is embarrassing because I don't know who I'm talking to. Or I just don't have the process and ability to pull that out of my memory. That's understandable, if not normal. My question is, how did Cleopas not know that it was Jesus walking with him? How did Jesus' closest people not know it was him? That makes me wonder. In fact, it makes me wonder so much I did some research. And the commentary that I found gave two very, very good explanations on what was going on with Jesus not being recognized after the resurrection. The first was more of a metaphysical explanation. And it says that it's not that Jesus wasn't real, it's that Jesus was too real. He was so real that he went beyond the boundaries of the world that we know. Picture this. You're standing in a valley and you look across everything and you see this wall of something just coming towards you. You see this wall, you're like, oh man, I'm not getting through that. But then you see someone walk through it. You see someone walk through it and you realize it's just a wall of fog. It's just water vapor that anyone can walk through, really. After the resurrection, Jesus was overly dimensional, if you will, which explains why he was able to appear and disappear so quickly without a trace in front of Cleopas. The second reason is more of something that we as people can understand. And that is that after the resurrection, Jesus was no longer bloody. He was no longer bruised. He was no longer beaten. He was no longer broken. He was made whole again. He could stand tall. He could stand confident. He could stand firm. A good example of this would be to picture me. Most of you guys who have known me for a while have known that I have a beard. I've had a beard continuously for 5 years. Some of you who've known me for a long time remember the days when I had hair and was clean shaven.
But none of you knew me in my glory days. This was high school before I even had my driver's license. Y'all, I could polish off a 2.5 mile run in about 17 minutes, no questions asked. I did it every morning. So imagine if I left for a while and I dropped 100 pounds, shaved my beard, put some Rogaine on this bald top, and I came back. Hey, we'll even say I got contacts too. Chances are none of y'all would recognize me. Not right off the bat, anyway. Chances are I might even get a welcome to the summit talk if I showed up. But I know for a fact, as soon as I'll give you an example. Most of you who know me with a beard, big, bearded, and burly. I've had a beard continuously for 5 years. I'm not going to talk about that little incident in 2015 where I decided to shave one night. But I've had a beard for about 7 overall. So most of you who know me decently have known me like this. A couple of y'all who've known me for a long time knew me when I still had hair and was clean shaven and was a little bit less heavy around the midsection. But so let's say that I went away for a few months, well, half a year, why not? And I dropped about 80 to 100 pounds. I shaved my beard. I got some Rogaine on this bald top. And I got contacts. Most of y'all would not recognize me right off the bat. In fact, I might get a welcome to the summit speech if I showed up. But I know for a fact that anyone who knows me would know me right off the bat when they seen my jerky, high-strung movements that I do and they heard me talk. And at least if I picked up a guitar and played, because you've heard my music. You would know me because of my personality and because of my passion, right? See, that's why Cleopas was able to recognize Jesus, because of his passion, because of his personality, because of his works and his good that he had done while he was on this earth. And now that he was resurrected, he was able to come back and do it all over again with them in a whole body. So what do we make of all this? How do we unpack all this? My thought is, every time Jesus made an appearance post-resurrection, he made an appearance to people who were doing something, in an action of something. He made an appearance to people who were verbing. In this case, he made an appearance to people who were walking. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is learning how to walk again. None of us remember as babies when we learned to walk. But we've all seen people in the process of learning. You have to have coordination, you have to have balance. It's tough to learn. Learning isn't easy. So how do we learn? What steps do we take to be able to walk with Jesus after the resurrection? The first thing we do is we walk confidently. This is not because we're cocky. This is not because we know the way. On the contrary, it's because we know we are being led in the right direction, because we have our faith put in the right person. When we walk with Jesus, when we walk confidently, we know that we are being led and we let him lead us. We live the call. We follow the call. And we're also able to walk freely. The old saying goes, you miss the forest for the trees, because the fact is, this one leaf does not make up the whole forest. The forest is made up of many trees, beautiful, diverse, all serving a different purpose. Just like our journey in life is not made up of one bad or even one good incident. It's made up of all of them. It's made up of everything working in balance together to show us how we've learned, how we've grown. When we walk with Jesus, we're able to walk with our head forward, our eyes front, and our heart steadfast. Once you learn to walk with confidence, then you need to learn to walk openly. Walking openly means you don't have to focus right on this path, right where I'm going, one foot in front of the other. If I do this, I'm going to miss everything that's around me. That's why I said when we walk with Jesus, we can see the beauty of things around us. That's where walking openly comes into play. So I'm in no way a gamer. I don't consider myself a gamer. I have a video game console and I absolutely love playing it. Uh, but I'm not a gamer. The two games that I play the most would be called either open world or sandbox games. And that means that there is a main storyline, but in between those storyline missions, you get to make a decision on what you do. There's all these little side opportunities or side hustles, if you will, to make a decision to help someone or learn something. I usually take these opportunities when I get them. Because in this game, if you make good decisions, you increase what's called your honor, or your character, if you will, your character's character. The higher your honor, the better person you are, the better interactions you have with the happenings in the game, and honestly, I'd like to have a good time. The same goes in life. If we see a person in need of help who's kind of away from our path, but you definitely have the ability to give them something, then do it. When you walk openly, you get to see the opportunities ahead. Y'all, I could go on and on about how I got to where I am, because let me tell y'all, I have taken so many offshoots of a big path that have taken me to where I am. We'd be here all day if I wanted to talk about them. I'll save those for a campfire or a barbecue pit, because I'm sure we all have wonderful stories to tell. The point is, let yourself be open to taking opportunities, especially if you're able to give, shining your own light. Finally, when we walk with passion. We walk with purpose. Even if we don't feel a call. I'm going to tell y'all something. Over the last few months, things have been very different for me. For the first time, really ever, in my logical thinking life, I don't feel a call to anything. I don't feel like I'm being led to do something. Instead, I'm kind of being led to be still for a minute, to rest. That still doesn't stop me from walking with purpose. In fact, it further encourages me to keep walking. Because although I'm resting, I'm letting my soul rest, but I'm letting my body move. Because when you walk with that purpose, even if you don't have a calling, the purpose of your walk may be the walk itself. Let's go back to Cleopas for a second. He may not have known who he was walking with, but he could feel Jesus' energy. He could feel his passion. He could see the light radiating off of him. Shouldn't we strive to be the same way? To let our light shine, to let people feel that positive energy, to let people feel our passion for love? In all of this, everything that's going on, that should not stop us. We should not sit down. We should not loaf. Instead, we should walk tall. We should walk strong. We should walk with hope. We should walk with faith. We should walk with love. We should walk with a purpose still, even if the purpose is just walking on its own. Last week, Jim had talked about how the weird is the new normal and normal is the new weird. And I'm going to tell you something. I really look forward to being able to interact with people face to face again. It might be a while, but it'll happen. I believe it will. And so, in closing, I want you to know something. You are all so loved. And you are all so strong. I look forward to the day where we can be together again. But you know what? Even when we're not physically with each other, we are in this together. Walk tall, walk strong, walk confident, walk openly, walk with passion, walk with energy, walk with the light of God shining through you. I love you all, and I will see you down the road.